say. Okay. All right, now's the time for announcements. You can join Church of the Angels on meetup.com to get a schedule of events. You can also visit our website at www.thechurchoftheangels.net or find us on Facebook. You can request a membership form via email. If you're interested in becoming a member, fill out the form and please return it to the church's email. I wasn't given any other announcements. If other people know of announcements, and you could please share, that would be great. Vicki, yeah.
Carol Wood and I are having in January past life pop-up readings. I was trying to get the date, and we're having past life regression. It's all on Zoom. Okay, so let me see. We're having past life pop-up life readings January 8th, 7 to 9. And discovering your past life Saturday, January 15th. All right, and then don't forget to come to Development Circle. You know, it's the beginning of the year, so let's get started early. Thank you.
And that's
Thank you,
on Zoom
Vicki.
as well, right? That's Zoom as well.
Okay, I did notice there is going to be a monthly sound healing on the 22nd with Mel. And then on the 19th, there's going to be the monthly spirit message event that we're holding. Although I'm wondering where, with the way things are going, they're on the schedule for now, more to be revealed. Okay. Anybody else have any other thing that they would like to share? No? Okay.
I think the
All
book
right.
club will also be meeting the first Monday of the month, but that, again, stay tuned. That's probably a Zoom. That might be a Zoom session. I'm not sure at this point.
Oh, the book club?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's always been Zoom. Oh, I mean,
right.
once we went to Zoom, it stayed Zoom.
It stayed
Yeah.
Zoom. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're reading The Mistletoe Promise. So if you'd like to join, you can do that. That'll be this Monday coming up
The
tomorrow.
second. Is it tomorrow or is it January 2nd?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's the second. I'm
Third, whatever.
Yeah, it's a week from
That's okay.
tomorrow.
It's January 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. For those who want to, you can join in sharing the statement of principles, although the folks at the church probably don't want to say that out loud, so you can say it in your mind. Okay. There is one creative force of which all life is a part. This one creative force is known by many names and manifestations. We recognize and honor the many names and manifestations of the one creative force, the source of all creation, one in God. The energy of life everywhere is continuous. All consciousness is continuous. Communication is continuous. The energy of life, consciousness, and communication never cease, even after the event that is perceived as death. One creates one's own reality. One creates in harmony with the one creative force, the great power of God, of which all life is a part. Reality is as one chooses to perceive and will change as one grows in knowledge of the inner self and one's relationship with the God of his understanding. All things are possible with faith, insight, knowledge, understanding, acceptance, and love. Love is the unifying energy of the universe. Love is the energy of the one creative force, the wisdom of God. All life and all mankind are one in the creatorship and healing force of love and with each other. Love is within us and of us. Love is never apart from us. It is we who separate ourselves from the power of love. The force of God works through love and love alone. Okay, now's the time for meditation. This is an opportunity for us to concentrate on going within to find peace, calm, and healing for ourselves and the world. And normally when we do this at church, we have some music in the background. I've chosen not to do that today, but I would like to read this and then we'll do a 5-minute meditation. I would ask that those that are on Zoom make sure that you mute it. So if people want complete silence, they'll have it. And if they want sound in their own home, they can have that as well. Okay. Christmas celebrations are often full of sound. It would be good for us to make room for silence to hear the voice of love. And that's from Pope Francis. And so we'll start with just 5 minutes or so of healing meditation. Take your time and come back to the present. Please remember that we are always connected to each other and the divine. Use this peace and calm to take care of yourselves and all those around you in your communities and throughout the world in whatever way you can. Now, if we could either silently or aloud add the names of those you wish to include in this healing energy. Thank you. Infinite Spirit, that which we call God, thank you in advance for having already taken care of all those individuals and situations we have called forth. Thank you for taking care of the needs of this congregation, their families and friends, and all of creation. Thank you for providing all the appropriate thoughts, insights, actions, and all resources. And so it is. Okay. Now is the time for inspiration and thought exchange brought to us today by our speaker. We invite everyone to address our assembly with words of inspiration, lessons learned, or passionate ideas. Every opinion expressed here is strictly that of the person who gives it. Let us consciously and lovingly agree to disagree if it does not resonate with us. The topic for today is who's driving my car, or trust. It's my pleasure to present today's speaker, me. Yay. Okay. And now it says I have about 15-20 minutes to go. Okay. All right. So I was asked if I wanted to help with the church services for today. And I said, sure. And then Reverend Jenny reached out to me and said, well, would you like to speak or facilitate? I'm like, wait a minute. I don't remember agreeing to, I don't know that I said that to her, but I know in my head, I'm like, wait, I don't remember agreeing to do either of those things. And I'm like, some voice again, whoever is driving said, sure, I'll speak. I'm like, wait, who was that? And because I just sort of developed the habit, every time I speak, I've been also the facilitator. So I said, I'll facilitate. Okay, great. So then I started to, brainstorm about what did I wanted to talk about. And, it's that time of year, Christmas and all that. And I happened to be attending a couple of Christmas concerts, and they're playing a lot of, holiday kind of music, and thinking about what it might have been like for Mary and Joseph as they were getting ready for her to give birth. So first of all, here's this young, 14, 15-year-old girl who's pregnant for the first time. She's had some angel come to her and say, okay, well, we want you to carry this baby and this and that. And she doesn't say no, she just says, oh, okay. And maybe even kind of like that, like, okay. And then Joseph is given some insight into the fact that he's not the father of this baby, but he's supposed to help. And I'm sure he kind of went, okay. I don't get it, but I'm willing to go along for the ride. So then they have the proclamation from the government that says, you got to come here and you got to pay taxes. And so they go to the only place they can find is a stable. Everywhere they try and go, it's like, sorry, no room, no room. And so she's got to give birth in a stable. It's not a fancy place. It's not the Cleveland Clinic. She's not surrounded by doctors and nurses and midwives and such. She's got a husband and some animals. And, I was thinking about it. Maybe there was a woman at the inn who, was able to help, but, pretty much on her own. Although in those days, that is, how you gave birth. It wasn't quite what we make it today, but by the same token, it's it's a miracle at any time, but especially a miracle in those days, because childbirth could be very dangerous for both the mother and the child. So just being able to bring a baby into the world is a miracle. So again, anyway, all of this going on, I've not ever had the opportunity to bear a child, but from what I understand, it can be an arduous process, and certainly giving birth is a very arduous process. And so again, here's this young girl, she doesn't have her mother, she doesn't have necessarily a whole lot of support, giving birth, trusting, okay, doesn't make sense to me, but I'm going to go ahead and do this. There's some kind of plan greater than me. I don't have to know it, I don't have to understand it, I just have to be willing to say yes. And they both keep doing that. So then the baby's born, we have angels singing and shepherds coming and all this lovely stuff. And then she gets visited by these three guys who've been studying the signs and recognize that this is somebody important, and we want to be there. We want to acknowledge that he's brought in something new, something different, that the old way is dead and now there's going to be a new way. And then interestingly, because they continued to listen to the signs, they were told, don't go back the way that you came and tell this guy that said, hey, tell me about this new guy, Jesus, because his plans for Jesus are not cool. So you just go home the other way. So they do. And, they keep it to themselves. So here they are ushering in a new era, but in a very gentle, like, we don't have to get up on the rooftops and yell, hey, he's here, blah, blah, blah. We do that today, but the change at that point, the change is so subtle. Most people, who knew about this? Three wise men, a couple of shepherds, Mary and Joseph, and maybe the people who happened to be around that immediate spot where they were. And yet, what a tremendous impact those people who said, yes, I'm willing, I trust, I don't have to understand it, I don't have to know it. Obviously, there's some kind of plan, I surrender to it. So, it's interesting that when I had the conversation with Jenny about how I was going to participate on this service today, one, I thought it was going to be in physical, and that we were going to do certain things and this and that and the other, and but I just kept saying yes. And then yesterday I got a couple of messages saying, okay, because there is some possible exposures and some people on the board have been impacted and whatever, we're choosing to go back to a virtual service. And it's like, okay, I've attended a virtual service, but I've not spoken at one, I've not run one. Yes, okay, just whatever is supposed to happen. Okay, yes. And then well, we're having some issues with this and that and the other, and it's like I just kept saying, okay, it'll be fine. And then this morning Jenny says, well, there's some stuff going on in my life, so Reverend Cindy's going to help you out. Okay, great, wonderful. And so then she Reverend Cindy says, well, how about the music? And I'm like, well, here's what we're doing. And this is what happens when I remain in the back seat and let the driver drive who's supposed to, and me just be quiet and notice everything going on around. Cindy played the version of Oh Holy Night by a gentleman by the name of Josh Groban. And the one that she played includes a couple of verses that I've not always heard when people do this particular song. And it was one that I wanted to include, but what I had chosen for the song, the version of the song that we were going to use, didn't have it, but this one did, where it talks about, God taught us to love one another, and that his law is love and his gospel is peace. Chains he shall break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. And I really wanted to include that, but I didn't know how that was going to happen. And Cindy found the Josh Groban, and I'm listening to the music, and I realized that he's singing that particular verse. And I'm like, this is what happens if I just trust and step out of the way. I will get what I want or what I need. And it's easy and effortless, as opposed to, it's got to be my way, and we got to do this, and we got to do this, and we got to do this, and just step back and let it be. And I think, I guess the only other thing I want to add in terms of trust is I have given to Cindy, the what I want to use for the music that I want to use for the rest of our time together, and I don't know what she's found. So I'm hoping that she's found what I wanted, but if not, Spirit will give me the words to pivot and say, okay, here's where we're going now. And I can sit in the back seat and let the driver drive, and maybe, enjoy a little, I think of being in a limousine, and sitting in the back, and you have snacks, and maybe you have some drinks or whatever, and you can laugh and have a good time and not worry, because you're going to get where you need to go. You're going to be taken, maybe in style, maybe not, but you're going to be taken, and it's going to be okay. And if you just don't interfere, you're going to get what you want and need, and it's going to be even better than what you would have, I don't know, worked out or manipulated or whatever. So anyway, I guess this is what I was supposed to say. So thank you so much for listening, and I will be quiet and open it up to anyone who would like to comment.
Okay, so I'm going to unmute for a quick second, because you know what, Mary, and one of the songs we are not queued up on is Rolling Stones. And remember the Rolling Stones song, you can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. And who would have thought that the Rolling Stones could be so spiritual, right? But it is so true. It is so true. So thank you for reminding us to trust and allow. And I know, Lydia, there may be some comments from the congregation, so appreciate you sharing.
Oh, can I just want to share with that we all heard you perfectly, and it was just wonderful. There's like 14, 15 people here, and we're just enjoying Mary's talk, and it's so appropriate for what's going on in the world today. Thank you so much for sharing. Just want to let you know, I'm going to stop the video. And
Thank you.
I will say, since we've kind of just connected with the people in the congregation, and when we have people here in Zoom land, I probably should have said this during announcements, so I apologize. But starting next week, we will have a Zoom service separate from the services that are happening at the church. Because we tried to do it before, it just kind of got like, we felt like we were ignoring, especially the people at Zoom when we were live, and like people felt ignored when we focused on Zoom. So we will run separate services just for a couple of weeks till we sort through this latest situation. But I do appreciate people being in both places as you are comfortable. So thank you.
Oh, okay. So we will have both an in-person service as well as Zoom at the same time or at different times?
They will be at the same time. Yes.
Okay, simultaneous. Okay, so a
Mhm.
hybrid.
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody else care to comment before we move on? No? Okay. All right. To usher in our time for truth and messages from Spirit, Cindy's going to give us our next song. I'm hoping it's the one I chose, but if not, is it the one I chose, Cindy?
It is, as soon as my
Okay,
computer
so
can
while you're doing
bring it up.
that, I just want to say for those who are at home and those who are at the church, this is a very bouncy, joyful song. And so I would like you to be as upbeat and joyful and bouncy as you would like to be. Maybe, get up and dance if you want to, for those of you at church. If not, maybe like in my case, sit in your chair and bounce, but bring up your energy and laugh and play with it. Because that's the kind of energy we want to have for giving messages.
Yeah, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go. Bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. You love us too. Bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. I said, bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. You love us too. Bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. I said, drop along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. You love us too. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, hey, hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
Thank you. Okay. The recording will now be stopped to preserve the sacredness of those serving and receiving from Spirit. For those of you watching this on video, thank you for your support, and remember that you are always connected to the divine in all of creation.